Yo, Tom Fiddzy here with my random video review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3. This week, we never actually saw the Falcon being Falcon. It was like the Falcon's first wingless episode. It was mainly the Winter Soldier episode. This episode as well, we had the return of Zemo, the return of Sharon, the return at the end. Spoilers of the Dora Milaje. Very exciting that. And hardly any of the fake Captain America, but definitely a lot more hints and clues that he's probably going to be an antagonist leading up to this. You know, he's very much now kind of hunting Bucky and Falcon now. So yeah, definitely going to be an antagonist. You can just see in the way that he acts, the way he was like, "Do you know who I am?" Like, so quick to anger. If he ever gets the serum, like, a lot of people are theorizing, as mentioned, the serum also heightens up your emotions, your mental state. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be taking that very well. I kind of expect him to be the final boss, or maybe this Shadow Broker person is. We keep getting hints. I hope the Shadow Broker is actually going to be something, or someone generally like super exciting, and not just like another kind of, who are you, villain? Like, just like, I'm just another gang leader. Like, I'm hoping that that's going to be something cool. Is it gonna, is the Shadow Broker going to be like another Mephisto style situation where we're hyping it up, or like the what was it in WandaVision, the astrophysicist or whatever it was, hyping it up, and then it turns out into a nobody. I think like in the comics, I heard that like the Shadow Broker, it's just like basically a group of business people. So hopefully in the MCU they do something a little bit more exciting with that, because yeah, we need to have a good final fight, I think, in this series. Whether it be versus fake Captain America or US Agent, or whether it's going to be versus the Shadow Broker, because we're getting a lot of people in here who are absolutely badass at fights. Sharon returned in this, and she was going John Wick in amongst all of those storage crates. That was a fantastic fighting scene. She's just kind of turned into like a very kind of cocky, I don't care, my life has been screwed and I'm just going to embrace it character, you know, very different from when we saw her last. And I was really liking her character. At the end, she's like, we've got a few problems, so not sure if she's going to, like, obviously she was helping them, but not sure kind of what role she's going to play going forward. Is she going to try and stop them, or is she going to be like more helping? It's a little bit confusing there at the end with her just saying we have a few problems. I'm guessing she's maybe going to get some friends in high places to help them out eventually down the line. Not necessarily coming to America like she said in that, but helping out like kind of from the shadows. Speaking of from the shadows, we had the return of Zemo. Baron Zemo, yes, we find out that he is indeed a baron. He was rich all along. And we find out that he's also a bit of a badass in a fight as well. We saw him like grabbing people, going absolute precision with the shots, like bang, one hit, kills. Zemo, so that was really cool. In fact, out of everybody, the person that was kind of like standing at the sidelines is the one who's going to pick up the shield at the end. It's Falcon, you know, just kind of being like, he's like the moral compass kind of at the moment of the crew, you know. Everybody else, they're from these criminal worlds, you know, so he's like the positive little ray of hope, and he's basically just kind of standing there, you know. We see Winter Soldier beating people up in the bar, which was awesome, and he's just having to stand there because he's trying to pretend to be this other person, like Smiling Tiger or something, probably a comic book thing. Speaking of comic book things, actually, the city that they went to, which is like kind of Singapore, Hong Kong, and Skull Island actually was mentioned this. I just watched Godzilla vs. Kong the other day, which ends in Hong Kong, and they mentioned Skull Island this, and then they went to a place that looked basically like Hong Kong, all with the like neon towers and stuff. I was like, what is going on? How have these come out like the same day almost? But yeah, so you have, what was I talking about? I've completely lost my train of thought. It doesn't matter. Oh yeah, that was it. The city. This is what happens when you do it all in one take. The city was called like Manipur or something like that, or Mandapur, and I was sitting there watching it. I was like, oh, that looks like Hong Kong from the Godzilla film the other day. And then it was just like, wait, is this a real place? And then I like paused it, I googled it. I was like, oh, okay, it's like a deep cut from the comics, like X-Men comics as well. So that was interesting. Maybe there's some other X-Men related characters in there. Looking forward to Mr. Sunday Movies breakdown so that we can get all of the weeb takes from that. Find out a lot of the context of them situations. So that was really cool that they actually did that. So many made up countries though in the MCU now. Like this was like a principality. We do find that Sokovia has kind of been absorbed by the neighbouring countries and it doesn't exist anymore. Very relatable to stuff that, you know, has been going on in the world throughout history. So that is one, though, fictional country down. Then, as I mentioned at the end, another fictional country, Wakanda, makes another appearance. We could be getting some White Wolf stuff from the Winter Soldier. And I was not expecting to see anything regarding the Black Panther in this series. So that is really cool that we are getting back into stuff with Wakanda. Let's talk a little bit more about Baron Zemo. I mentioned that he's an absolute badass, the one-hit kill guy with a gun. He's rich, he's got a load of cars, he's got like a little old butler flying him around in an aeroplane, and he gelled really well with Bucky and Falcon. I was going to say Bucky and the Winter Soldier. He gelled really well with the crew. He kind of fit in quite nice. He had this kind of like a very apologetic straight man kind of nature as them two were like bickering. And they had some great bickering as well. Once again, we find out about the other Captain America, the secret Captain America, that we found out last time that it was his blood from his time where he was imprisoned. It was his blood that is being used to make the Super Soldier Serum, the new one. And we also get some more stuff with the Flag Smashers, once again making them, you know, very relatable. You know, villain like Thanos, villain like Warmonger, you know, someone that you're like, I see your point of view. So kind of same with Zemo as well. It's like, yeah, I see your point of view. I see where you're coming from. Obviously what you're doing is wrong, but I can understand why you're doing it, you know. They could very well be like a rebellion, the Rebel Alliance, you know, from like Star Wars. It's like they're not, you know, what they're doing is good, but, you know, their means of doing it is necessarily not always good. So very interesting. At the end, though, you do see that turn where they're getting a little bit more heavy-handed, a little bit more aggressive. They blew up that building when there were people in there, you know, people that were just doing their jobs. So, you know, kind of in that, very much now in that grey area. But it's very interesting. You know, we got a lot of things lining up in this series as to who could be the big bad at the end. But so far, nothing is actually set in stone. In fact, everyone is kind of in a grey area. Everyone is like doing things that could be for good, but are not necessarily doing it the good way. The only person maybe that is like definitely you're just doing bad things so far is like the Shadow Broker, although we don't know who the Shadow Broker is right now. Whenever I say Shadow Broker, I just think of Mass Effect. Is it going to be Liara at the end, you know? Yeah, overall it was a very good episode, great action. I love seeing, as I said, the Sharon fight was probably the highlight, seeing Zemo again, him wearing the mask, finding out that he is a Baron, and him just kind of gelling with the crew. I hope that he kind of actually sticks around after this series. I don't want to see him sacrifice himself or anything. I think he's a very good character. You know, in the comics, I think he's been in like the Thunderbolts and stuff, and you know, so there's still a lot of potential for this character. Maybe not necessarily full redemption, but just keep him around. Have him kind of be a Loki. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. That's what we need in the MCU. Some reoccurring grey characters, villainous characters. So that was really good, and I'm generally very excited now for the rest of the series. It's just, at the moment, not quite sure still where it's going, but I'm very much enjoying the ride, especially now that Dora Milaje are back in it, and I'm glad that they are taking some very, very, like, niche, obscure comic book references. Overall, you know, there's no kind of characters in this at the moment that I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they took them from the comics. Like, oh, I can't believe MODOK has appeared, or something like that. They are very, like, sometimes there'll be a character and only afterwards I'm like, oh, was that a comic book thing? I had absolutely no idea. So yeah, that's good in a way, because it just helps expand your knowledge of the comic book world, and that there is a whole lot more stuff out there, and it gives me a lot of faith that, you know, that more stuff like that could turn up in the future, more deep cuts, and just exploring more areas of the comic book world in the MCU. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3, very, very good. Continuing the hype in for the next episode.